LaxFactor podcast. I wanted to talk about parents being assholes. And I saw a thing in one of the lacrosse groups on Facebook that I'm a part of, and it was a lacrosse coach asking if anybody else has, I forget what they called them, but in essence, they're field enforcers. They have this club lacrosse team. They either have 2 volunteers or they might even pay them, but they have people on the sideline, 2 people per contest or per tournament, who their job is to make sure the parents aren't assholes, make sure that the parents aren't harassing their coaches, make sure the parents aren't harassing other fans, make sure the parents aren't harassing the players. More importantly, making sure the parents aren't harassing the officials. There has been a huge problem lately that we've kind of seen come out in sports with parents treating officials like hot trash. The younger generation of kids, they just don't want to deal with it. They don't want to deal with getting harassed. Maybe some of it's a stigma attached to being an official, but the worst thing that I see, it's not at the high school level. I officiated, after I stopped coaching, I officiated for 2 years and I did a bunch of varsity games and JV games. I didn't notice as much of a problem at that varsity level, I think partly because of the field setup. You can't hear the parents yelling at you in the new varsity stadiums where you're like, a lot of the stadiums we're in, we're not. A parent could barely throw something at me from the stands as far away as we are. I think that the biggest problem and the plague here is at the youth level. You have 10-year-olds, sometimes 7-year-olds playing lacrosse, and you have parents acting like pieces of trash on the sideline, screaming at officials like they're their dads or their moms, yelling at coaches, yelling at other players. The behavior is fairly boorish. And listen, it's not epidemic in the sense that it's most parents. It's not. And I think that this is where the anti-bullying stuff and the let's be nice to everybody has kind of gone a little bit too far, because while one group of people is being told and taught to be nicer to people and they're actually doing that, there is another group that doesn't give a shit what any of you think, and they're not going to be nice. And I think it's time for nice people to be a little bit less nice. Am I a proponent of you punching douchebag dad in the face? No. But I believe that a lot more adults need to start stepping up and policing behavior on the sideline. And let's be honest here. If you're that douchebag parent that's harassing officials, harassing coaches, complaining on the sideline, you are hurting everything you're doing to pay for your kid and to try to help your kid get into college by playing lacrosse, by playing all these travel teams. You are undoing everything by being an asshole. You have to realize if you're on the sideline as a parent, the coaches that are coming to watch your kid are watching you as much as they're watching your kid. So I've heard numerous runners of club programs talk about how they have seen kids crossed off Division I recruiting lists, not because of anything the kid did, but simply because of how that kid's parents behaved on the sideline. It's going to happen. These guys don't have to run around and be brute force. All they have to do is just be, hey, sir, come on, you got to remember, this is the problem. You can't be like this. This is against the rules, blah, blah, blah. People will typically respond well to that, I think. And then where it doesn't work, you just eject them and they start having to deal with the same types of rules the players do. You get ejected, you sit out the next game. I know a lot of leagues and officially sanctioned high school organizations are doing that, where if a parent can get ejected, and if the parent gets ejected from a game for their boorish behavior, they're going to not come to the next game also. They get banned from that next contest. So I think that's going to be cool. But more importantly, parents, stop being fuckheads. Stop being assholes. Stop harassing the officials. It doesn't help. There has never been a situation where a parent has harassed an official that has ever caused that official to make a good call for you down the road. A, parents, stop being assholes. B, coaches and organizations, make sure that the parents know what you expect and enforce those rules. And then C, where you have to, maybe look into finding a couple of volunteers, maybe big burly men that could kind of walk up and down the sideline and police it. Just make sure you're not having assholes do that too. You don't want to inflame these situations. You want to find people that are good at de-escalating situations, people that are well integrated into society that can take one of these volatile situations and then kind of de-escalate it, be nice, maybe even kick somebody out without having to beat their ass, those kinds of things. So I think it's all something we have to start talking about a lot more out loud as the lacrosse community. I think that for those of us that have big mouths like me, but that also can be kind and nice at the same time, but that don't have filters, I think that we need to kind of step up and start speaking up and stick up for these officials, stick up for these coaches. And overall, let's just be nice. And as I have a friend that always says that her main goal in life is to not raise an asshole. So if you're trying not to, I know a lot of these people that are treating officials poorly are good parents that are trying not to raise assholes, and I think sometimes they just forget they're being one in the moment while they're watching their kids' game. So let's stop that, but more importantly, let's continue this conversation of how we can curb this, how we can bully these a-holes back into their basements and go from there. So that's it. Stop being an asshole.